Hello everyone and welcome to the class. This is David A. Cox with PCClassesOnline.com. Today we are doing a full tutorial of Screenflow. Now, one of the things I have tended to do in a lot of our past classes is I will go slightly off topic if I think that it could benefit all of you, and I have several extras planned for you today, one of which I'm actually going to begin with, which has to do with the topic of where should you be buying your copy of Screenflow. You can buy Screenflow through the Mac App Store. You can buy it through their website. There's even supposedly a copy that you can get on Amazon. Well, here's my advice. I would actually get it through their website. You will find links to every product that we mention in the description of the video, or if you happen to be watching it on our website, it will be located just beneath the video. The reason why I recommend it is that A, the pricing is locked, so you're going to be paying the same pretty much no matter where you go to buy it. It's $99. That's at least here in the US. But also there is one extra minor feature that you will get only if you buy the software through their website, which is Telestream.net. Which is that if you are in the business of music composition, you can compose a piece using any of the different pieces of software out there like Finale, and if you update your music that you would end up using in your video project, it will update the file within Screenflow. So if it really doesn't make a giant difference, I would recommend getting it through their website. If that feature does not make a difference to you, then you can just as well get it through the Mac App Store. The one little thing I would say, I would be a little bit cautious about buying this software on Amazon, because when I looked at the description that I found, it seemed to be an old version, and if you're going to buy the software, you might as well buy the current version. So let's go over all the different basics of Screenflow, and then we'll get into the extras here. Now, so that I can demonstrate it, what I did is just before recording this class for all of you, I recorded a very quick, less than a 1-minute tutorial video showing someone how to change the desktop background on their Mac. And what makes Screenflow such a great piece of software is it allows you to record from multiple sources. So for example, in this particular video that I just recorded, it's recording from my webcam. There's me. It's recording the screen. It also gives me the ability, if I want, to record the audio coming from the computer, and also, of course, the audio coming from my little microphone. For any of you who are looking to get into this, the microphone that I use, once again, you will find a link to it in the description of the video. No, it is not a $2,000 microphone. It's $49, and I've had it for years. Love it, love it, love it. So hopefully you will too if that's the kind of thing you happen to be in the market for. So now before we really begin here, I want to give you a few little recommendations, a few things I wish I knew when I first started using it. And the first has to deal with a preference. So when you get Screenflow, you're going to go here to the top left where it says Screenflow, go into Preferences. And one recommendation is that you set a recording hotkey. This is just simply a combination of characters you're going to press on your keyboard. When you do those at the same time, it's going to start recording your screen. In my case, I chose to use Option R, just easy for me to remember. R, I think of record. So that's one thing I want to make a little recommendation about. You'll see here we have a few little things here. I do want to make a little tip that I didn't mention in the live version of this class that I taught earlier today. Here under the timeline preferences, it is my recommendation that you change the default transition from bar swipe over here to cross dissolve. Okay. One of the things I found is, especially when I work with kids, a lot of them seem to use these really funky, crazy transitions. It can get to be very, very distracting. I like to keep it simple. That's just my own opinion. So I would do that. And we'll close that out. Once you've installed Screenflow, you're going to see their little icon pop up here at the top right corner of your screen, that is, while it's running. And so that is one other way that you can go to configure your recording. Now in my case right now, I am actually recording this tutorial video using Screenflow as I am teaching Screenflow to all of you. So anyways, if you are recording, you will see here that it will actually tell you how far you are into your recording time as you are recording. So let's get out of that. I want to go over the basic principles of editing here. Now, for those of you out there who use iMovie or even Final Cut, a lot of this should look semi-familiar to you. So down here at the bottom of the screen, we have two different tracks currently. The bottom track, you can see here, it's got actually a little icon, little screenshot to show me what it is. It is my desktop background. Now, had I been playing audio through my computer, this would also contain the audio of that recording. And then above it, we have my video, and also you can see here based on the sound waves, that is also my audio. So anytime I'm going to be manipulating my little video clip here, I'm going to be clicked on this clip here. When I'm manipulating the desktop, I'm going to be selecting this clip right here. Now there's a couple of little hotkeys and keystrokes that I think everyone should be aware of going into Screenflow. There's not many, but let's just go over them very briefly. And many of these are very similar in other editing programs as well. So one thing that you should know is that anytime you want to play or pause video, you can just simply tap the spacebar on your keyboard. Now this little thing that you see right here, where it has the little red line and sort of like a gray upside down triangle above it, that is your playhead. So whenever I want to see what the video looks like at this point in time, I'm just going to drag it to wherever it needs to be. And now if I hit the spacebar, it's going to start to play the video along with the audio. That's the first thing. The second I want to make sure that everyone is aware of is the universal command for undo, because inevitably when you're editing, you will screw up. So if you make a mistake, if you accidentally, oh my God, I deleted my track, don't worry, you can go back in time. Just hit Command and the letter Z, as in zebra. Every time you hit Command Z, it will go back an additional step. One thing to be aware of, though, is that if you save your project and then quit, when you reopen it, you will not be able to go back any further than where you left off from. So just be aware of that. And the other little key command that I want to make sure everyone knows, very, very important in editing, is how to make a cut. And let's say I made a mistake here in the beginning, or actually, even better, you can see here that at the beginning of this clip I have a few seconds of silence. There's a couple of different ways that I could punch in here to tighten that up a little bit. I'm going to show you one way now and another in a little bit. So one way to make a cut is you're going to click on the clip that you're going to be cutting. And just be aware, if you need to make a cut to multiple clips so that they sync, you would need to hold the Command key and click on the other clip as well. That way they're both highlighted. You're going to be making one cut to both shots. When you have it where you need it, you're going to hit Command, Shift, and the letter T as in Tom. And so you can see right now it's split off so that these are now two different cuts. Okay? And just like with anything, when it's highlighted, I can just hit the Delete key on my keyboard and it will remove those old shots so that those are gone. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to start to kind of go through and edit this project, and I'm going to throw in those extras along the way, but I want you to see the actual process that even we go through as we're creating one of these tutorial videos. So let's grab both of these clips. I'm just going to kind of click here and drag so that I highlight both of them. And I'm going to click and drag them back to the beginning of the timeline. That way we don't have any black in the very opening of our clip. So let's say for the beginning of the shot, I want my little video clip here to start off small, and then I want it to become larger. I want to show you how to create that kind of a transition. So all of what that basically is it is a video property transition. And all of those various properties are up here at the top right corner of the screen. And I'm going to show you them as we go through this entire video. So let's start off here. Let's just see where my audio is. I'm going to hit play. Hello everyone and welcome to the class. So let's say at this point here, I want to make it so that this little video becomes larger. First of all, I need to make sure that I'm not selected on this clip anymore. So what I just did is I held down my Command key to deselect that clip and clicked. And so now I'm going to click over here on the right hand side where it says Add Video Action. And it's just like adding a transition in iMovie. And so what we're going to do now is we can either grab this little scale bar here and make it larger, Or the other thing that you can do is you can grab the corner, hold the Shift key so that it doesn't distort, and drag up. Okay, so let's make this the whole screen. I can grab the clip really anywhere. You can see my bicycle in the background. Sorry about that. Electric bicycle, and it's raining outside today, so don't want it to get wet. So now this little purple bar is here at the bottom of my edit, and that little purple bar represents the timing for that transition. So if I play it back, you'll see what it looks like now. Hello everyone and welcome to the class. This is David A. So now, what if I want that to either be shorter or I need that transition to take a little bit more time? One little tip I want to give you is when you're making this kind of a change, see this slide bar at the bottom left? This is your ability to zoom in and zoom out of your timeline. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit. It just makes it easier. And if I want to stretch out this process, I'm going to grab the right-hand side and notice that my cursor turns into those two arrows pointing in opposite directions, and I'm just going to drag it out. And it actually shows me how much time it's adding to that transition. So right now it's just added 0.4 seconds, making it a total just shy of 1 second to transition from there to there. So let's see how it looks. Hello everyone and welcome to the class. This is David A. There you go. So that's how you do that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to talk just a little bit about audio. So let's talk about that. Audio is this little speaker icon right here. And just like I did with video, you have to make sure that you're clicked on the track that you need to modify. So let's say that my audio here at the beginning wasn't quite up to par. Okay, it was a little bit low. I'm going to show you right now how to make it a little bit louder. Now, you could either apply this to the entire clip, because right now this is all one shot technically, in which case I don't even need to add an audio action. I can just simply drag this so that it's a little bit higher. Watch as I do this. Watch what it does down here. You'll see that the peaks get larger. Okay? So at this point where it shows red right here, that means it's going to distort. You don't ever want to see red. So let's get rid of that. I'm going to actually bring it back to right where it was. But the other thing you may one day need is to just adjust the small portion of a clip, okay? So I want to show you how to do that. And that involves basically what I just showed you with making a cut. But in this case, we'll have to do 2 cuts. Pretend this little section that you see right here is actually a lot louder than it actually is. What we would do is we would create a cut right here. So once again, that would be Command-Shift-T. And then drag the timeline to just after it, click, and do the same thing. So now we have just this one little portion of audio selected. And so now what I can do is I can drag the volume down, and you'll see it brings that one section down without affecting the rest. Okay? Very, very simple little trick. Good to know. I'm going to undo what I just did here. So I'm just going to hit Command-Z a bunch. And we're back to where we were. That's a horrible still image to pause on. Let's go right there. Now the next thing I would like to go over with all of you is some of these different effects. Okay, so let's start off with screen recording properties. And to really be able to show you that, I need to get to a point in this video where I have started the process of clicking. So let's just hit play and find that point. Hello and welcome to the class. This is David A. Cox with PCClassesOnline.com, and today I'm going to be what I'm going to do actually here so that we can actually do this, I am going to shrink the video back down at this point. So I'm going to go back to Video Properties, hit Add Video Action, okay, and I'm going to drag it to make it smaller. And actually, you know what? I'm just going to drag me off camera. So now it just goes And today I'm going to be showing you how to it's still there, it's just not actually in the shot. Change your desktop background on your Mac. It all starts with the Apple menu. You'll see the Apple menu here at the top. So at this point, my cursor, for those of you who can't see, is approaching the top left corner of my screen, and I'm about to click. One way that you can draw attention, and there's a few different ways to do this, but one way that you can draw attention to that is go here under Screen Recording Properties. And now you'll notice it's all grayed out right now, and the reason why is I'm still selected on the clip that represents my video. So we need to switch over to the screen, and you'll see here that I have a few different things here. I can, right from the editing process, I can make my pointer bigger. So I can drag it up, and now you can really clearly see that arrow. You can really see everywhere I'm clicking. Another way that you can draw attention here is you can add what's called a click effect. So for example, we have radar. Watch what happens when I apply that to the entire shot. Top left corner of my screen, we're going to click, and so it gives off this little radar beam anytime I click. It just lets the viewer know that I have in fact clicked. Okay? Good thing to be aware of. Now another thing that you may want to do at some point, and you may even see it in this video here, is when you're showing people key combinations on a keyboard. It's easy to do this. See, it says keyboard show keystrokes. So if I was holding down a keystroke at this point in the video, in fact, I'll just do it right now for all of you. I'm right now going to hold down the shift key, and after I'm done recording this video, in editing, I'm going to add that segment back. So you'll see that the shift key comes up. Okay, and I just let go. Another thing you can do is you can have it make a sound whenever you click. So let's see how that looks, how that sounds rather. We're going to click, and we're going to go down here to System Preferences, which is the fourth item. It actually does sound like a real click. I don't know how well you guys are going to be able to hear that on your end, but you do in fact hear it. I'm going to undo these features here so I can show you the other option. Okay, the other option, which I've used a lot of times in our video tutorials, is this next one here called Callout Properties. And what it's basically going to do is it's going to get rid of everything except where my cursor is. So let's give you an example here. I'm going to add a callout by simply clicking right here where it says Add Callout. And everywhere else kind of becomes shadowed except here where you see my cursor. Now right now it's a little tough to see. So one trick you can do is you can zoom up and you can expand the border, okay, of wherever your cursor is. So that way, without me having to really punch all the way into the screen, the viewer can really see what it is I'm doing. Item down. From here, you'll notice that now, if I click off of it, the callout is represented by this blue bar. And a lot of times when you're going to be adding something like a callout, you really don't need it for as long as they give you. So what you can do is the second method, to trim. So I already showed you how to make a cut. Trimming is the other option. And so you can do it from either the beginning or the ending. Usually I find I end up doing it from the ending just because of what I do. But I'm going to put my cursor here at the right-hand side, and I'm just going to drag it back. So I'm now lessening the duration of that effect. So now when I play, you'll see it's a very, very brief effect. Fourth item down. From here, we're going to... Okay, very, very simple. There's other effects that you'll see here, one of which I actually do want to mention briefly. During the live class that we taught on the subject, someone brought up a question about blurring out people's faces. And sometimes it might be faces that you want to blur out, other times it may be passwords or usernames, that kind of thing. And I had said during the live class that to my knowledge there was no way to blur out a face. There actually is a way to do it. And it all has to do with the callout properties here. And so to demonstrate it, what I'm actually going to do is punch in on this screen here. So to do that, I'm going to go back to Video Properties, Add Video Action, and I'm going to scale into the shot. Now, I want you to imagine that this, where it says sharing, is actually some sort of a secret, or it's got personal information, something that I wouldn't want to be seen by the general public. One way that you can blur it out, okay, is to go here under Callout Properties. We're going to add a callout, okay, but instead of up here where it says highlight mouse cursor, we're going to do freehand, okay. So when I do that, I get these a circle and a square option. If you're dealing with faces, you're going to probably want a circle. If you're dealing with text, you're going to probably want a square. And you can make this whatever size you want. And basically all you need to do is draw onto the screen. Oops, sorry, did it a little bit off there. Wherever it is you need it to be blurred out. And it will take care of it for you. So let's see how that came out. Here, we're going to go into where it says Desktop and Screensaver. Oops, I left out the blur function. Duh. Okay, see here where it says blur? Yeah, you want to turn that on. So we're going to turn opacity down because we actually want people to see the screen right now. We're not doing the first option here, which was what we went over just a second ago. We're going to go to blur and turn it up. You can do it all the way, or you can just do a little bit. Depends on how much you need. and then you'll see that it's all
screensaver.
gone. Just like that. Sorry about that moment. Okay, let's go back and let's zoom out so we can see kind of the full screen again. Okay, so we've got the screen back to its normal size. I wanted to just make sure I mentioned that since we didn't do it in the class. Next thing I want to do is talk a little bit about another way that you can block out information. This is usually what I have used in the past, is this option right here, which is Annotations. Okay, so with Annotations, you have different shapes that you can deal with here. Now, sometimes Annotations are helpful if you want to add an arrow, you know, sort of saying click here, that kind of thing. But other times it might be that you have information like an email address and you want to block that out. So with this, what you're going to do is click where it says Add Annotations Clip, wherever it may be. Pick your shape. So we have a arrow, a line, a box that is translucent on the inside, and a circle that is translucent on the inside. Pick your color. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to just kind of draw this on. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to do that. Let's do box. Okay, so I will block that out. Go to color. Now you can choose to make it black, you can make it white. The trick that I always use is I use this little spyglass here and I try to make it match whatever is right next to it. So in this case, blue is going to look hideous, but we've got this gray background that if I use that, it just kind of blends in. People don't even really realize that I'm blocking something from their view. So that's another trick I did want to show you. Then we have T for text. And I want to show you a big tip about using text. A lot of times when people are using text in their videos, it's to add something like a name or to add a title. This comes really in handy when you're dealing with interviews. And there's a little extra that you can get with Screenflow that is going to take this to the next level. So that's no longer just text, but it's something a little bit classier. So let me show you what I mean. So here at the beginning of the fake tutorial video that I made, I at some point say my name.
Welcome to the class.
So at that point, I'm about to say my name. So this is probably where I would normally click Add Text Box. Okay, this should look familiar if you use iMovie. Just double click where it says text and type in whatever it is you want. Okay, you can have your font options, size options, all that jazz over here on the right hand side. And you can move it with your cursor freehand wherever you want. And this is the extra. When you're buying Screenflow initially, if you buy it through Telestream, this will pop up right off the bat. There is another company, not owned by Telestream, but they make a product called Flowtility. It's flowtility.com, I believe. Again, there'll be links in the description of the video. And for $47, they give you a ton of little extras, including really, really nice title backgrounds. For example, here's one. So when you've watched things like the sports on TV, the news, you have these little banners that you'll see at the bottom when someone's name pops up. You can add that into your video clips. And basically all this file really is the background is all transparent, and then you have this little effect. In your text, you're just going to draw on top of it. Let me show you how easy it is to add this. And again, it's not an expensive way to do it. It's not an expensive option either. I'm going to kind of, I'm actually for now going to delete the text here because it's easier to add the effect first. I'm just going to drag this over a little bit so I can see both. And here I have a folder of all different types of title effects, so you can see kind of a few different options they have. Okay, those are just a few. I'm going to grab this blue one here, and I'm just going to drag it and drop it literally right into my project. And when I do that, you'll see here that just like any of the other clips, it has a box around it. So to make it the size that works for me, I'm going to grab a corner, hold the Shift key, and I'm going to drag it. And I'm just going to make it the whole width of the screen. Okay? So now it looks like this.
This is David A. Cox with PC Classes on.
And theoretically, right around here, I would have the text come in. So now what I'm going to do is with the timeline, with the playhead right there, I'm going to click over here and add a text box. Now you'll notice that it by default adds this really kind of hideous, when you're dealing with this, black background to it. You can remove it, don't worry. So I'm going to type in my info. And I'm going to just kind of reposition it a little bit so it's more in the center. And if you look over here on the right-hand side, it says backdrop. We're going to uncheck that option. Now, sometimes when you're dealing with shots, you need to add things like transitions. It's because I don't want the text to just cut and just boom appear out of nowhere. I want it to fade in. You remember at the very beginning, I showed you to go into preferences and change it so that the default transition is cross dissolve. This is where that comes in handy. You're going to secondary click on your new title. So I'm going to two-finger click in my case since I'm on a laptop. And we have here towards the bottom a few different options: add starting transition, add ending transition, and add both. So we're going to do that. And check out how it looks now.
Class. This is David A. Cox with PCClassesOnline.com.
And so then what I would want to make sure that I do is that the blue little title thing you see here, the blue bar, I want to make sure that that cuts out. So it doesn't need to stick around for the whole video, just while I have my little text there. Okay? And a lot of times with these kinds of effects, you're going to want to fade out not just your text, but you're going to also want to fade out your background here. So I'm going to right-click on this, go to Add Ending Transition, and now they match because they cut out at the same time. So watch how it ends.
And today I'm going to be showing you how to change your desktop background.
Okay. Probably should have done a little earlier, but that's okay. Moving on. The next thing I want to do is I want to show you another extra, part of that same package. Flotility gives you a ton of these little extras. And one of the other ones they give you is these really nice animated backgrounds. Some of them are more simple than others. I'm going to just kind of go through a few of them here for you. And these are perfect sometimes for text. Sometimes when you're doing video, you have almost chapters in your video. In fact, in DVDs, they quite literally have chapters. And sometimes in between those chapters, they'll put a section, okay, of this, and then they'll throw text over it. So these all come with that $47 package. Again, link you'll see in the description of the video. Okay, there's one little trick I do want to show you about these. Sometimes when you're dealing with video, you realize that there's something you left out, and you need to make some sort of a special note of it. Okay, so for this, I'm going to just kind of go into the middle part of the project. And let's say there's something I forgot to mention right here. These can also be really handy as just a lower thirds backdrop. Let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to grab one of them. I'll grab a simple one right here. I'm just going to drop it into my shot. Okay, now it's kind of right now smack in the middle. We don't really want that. So I want to show you a little trick here. I'm going to click on the clip and I'm going to expand it so that it's the full screen. Okay, you can move it around however you need to do it. Just make sure you hold down that shift key so that it doesn't distort. Okay, even if it goes a little bit off screen, that's okay. Now here's another trick. When you click on a clip, I just showed you that if you hold the shift key and you resize it, it's going to keep everything proportion. There's another thing that you can do too. If you hold the control key, you're going to crop the shot without resizing the image. So notice that as I held down, I'm now doing it, as I hold down the control key, it turns from a circle to a box. I can now grab the top part, drag it down, and without distorting, I have this little segment down here at the bottom. So now, for example, I could throw text over this at the bottom and say, helpful hint coming up. Okay, probably get rid of that backdrop. Terrible color to choose, but you get the idea.
Down here to System Preferences, which is the fourth item down. From here,
okay, I want to give you that little extra as well. Okay, so we've gone through, we've added our text, we've added a whole bunch of different things here. I want to go over a few little minor items that I did skip over because they're not really part of this fake tutorial that I've made. For those of you out there who have or have an interest in adding a green screen, also known as Chroma Key. Green screen is just simply a green screen that you would put behind you, and then in editing you can tell Screenflow to delete the background and replace it, whether with video or with a still image, really whatever you want. You've seen this happen on the news with the weatherman. You've seen it happen on television shows like The Soup or Tosh.0, etc. So I want to show you that you can actually do that right here within Screenflow. Now you do need a green screen. I will have a link to the one that I actually use. I've only used it once, really, just because for what I do, I don't have a big need for it. But you can get them for very, very little money. So I'll have a link to one that you can get, again, in the description of the video. But when you have that kind of effect and you want to add it, here's what you're going to need to do. You would click on whatever clip has the green element to it. Go here to Add Video Interaction. Note that we're Video Action, rather. We're here under Video Properties. Sorry, we don't need to do that. My bad. Video Filters is what I meant to say. Hit the little plus symbol next to it, and look at the top option, Chroma Key. Now there's some other effects here where you can make everything look distorted and funky, and it's not something that I would recommend for any video editor. It just gets very, very distracting. But if you have a Chroma Key, you can just click here. It will help you select the green elements of the backdrop and then just let you very easily swap it out with, like I said, photo, video, whatever you want. Even the backgrounds that I just showed you that I got through Flotility. Very, very cool little tip I thought you might like. Oops, I added an effect there. Let's undo that. Okay, and then we have over here the media library. And the media library is like a bin in Final Cut Pro. It's like additional footage that you would have in iMovie. It's anything else, and you don't even really necessarily need to use the media library because you can literally drag and drop files from different folders on your computer. But this leads me into another bonus tip that I wanted to give to all of you. Now, if you've seen our tutorial videos before, you've noticed that we have this little animated logo in the beginning and typically also the ending of our videos. And it's the PC Classes Online logo. It sort of all starts off apart, it comes together, and then you zoom through the logo. And I get the question all the time, how did you do that? It's actually very, very simple. Again, links to all the different things I'm about to describe are in the description of the video, and I very strongly recommend you use those links to avoid accidentally going to a different website. So there's this one company, and their name is Envato, and they create, they don't necessarily create, but they have a ton of really great content for people who make tutorial videos, but also documentaries and actual films, anything out there. And let me give you an example. Say you need really good copyright-free music. A portion of their website is for audio. It's called Audio Jungle. And they have some really incredible musicians there who have made music available for purchase. It's certainly more than you'll spend on iTunes. But what it means is that if you use that audio in your project, you're okay. You're legally covered. Not to go off topic, but I want to at least share with you. Some of you may be familiar with the fact that I own an aerial drone, and I occasionally do some different films. Once in the past, I used a Lady Gaga song, and I learned the reason why you don't do that. The reason why is that if you use music from a published artist, and this ultimately depends on the studio, the record label rather, is that they will immediately detect it on YouTube. And so then once they detect that you have used copywritten material, they will make it so that you can't view it on an iPhone or an iPad. So immediately right off the bat, two of the very large parts of your potential audience can't view your content. So I strongly recommend use copyright-free music. It doesn't mean it's gonna suck, okay? It just means pay maybe $18 per track. And that's very, very reasonable compared to having a composer make you a custom piece of music. So if you want to check those tools out, again, links in the description of the video. Let's talk about the logo portion. So with that, there's pieces of software out there. Typically, the two primary ones are Motion, which is made by Apple. And then there is After Effects, which is kind of more the standard, which is made by Adobe. And these are pieces of software that are used to create this kind of 3D animation effects. Well, what they have done on this website, again, link in the description, is they've created these templates. So you'll see kind of a dummy logo, you replace it with your logo, and suddenly you have this amazing opener to your content. And if you don't know how to program with Motion, or if you don't know how to program with After Effects, what I would recommend you do, this is a little bit creative, is you can go on a different website called Fiverr.com, Fiverr. And when you go there, you just type in someone who can manipulate Video Hive templates. Okay, Video Hive is the portion of Envato devoted to video logos. And so you'll find someone for usually $5 or $10 who will replace the generic logo with your logo. It looks amazing. It's worth every single penny, and a way to get a 3D graphic for next to nothing in cost. So that being said, let me just go through here and see if there's anything that I left out. Within audio properties, you do also here have options to remove background noise. I don't really recommend it because you tend to lower your volume in the process as well. We have other cheesy effects like audio filters. Please don't use them. Screen recording properties, I mentioned those. I think I went over everything there. Callout properties, I think I covered those. We need to talk about what you're going to do when you're done with your video clip. So when you're done, there's different ways that you can export your media. You don't need to go to File and then go to upload it to YouTube, for example. You can do it directly here from within Screenflow. If you go to File, you'll see here that we have two different options here, Publish To and Export. Export is going to make it a file on your computer, but it's going to be a locked file, so you're not going to be able to edit that version. Or you can publish it, and this is what we do. We publish it directly to YouTube. And the other options here are Vimeo, Google Drive, Dropbox, Facebook, and Flash. Now I want to talk very briefly about another little tip of advice about these two. All the time I get asked my opinion on Vimeo. So when we first started PC Classes Online about 2 years ago, almost 3 years ago, we originally hosted all of our content with Vimeo, and it turned out to be one of the biggest mistakes we ever made, in my opinion. Here's the reason why. Vimeo and YouTube may both host video content, but their business plans are dramatically different, totally black and white. With YouTube, if you are creating original content, you can get YouTube to pay you for that content. And if you're good at it, you can get some decent money from it. Vimeo, you have to pay them up to $200 a year. That's at least what we were paying when we left them. The other thing that said to me a lot about Vimeo and how they work, when we decided to leave Vimeo for YouTube and host all of our content on YouTube, they sent us a letter basically saying, if you don't pay up, we are going to delete all of your videos. Now, I had already gone through and basically leached all of my videos back so that I could upload them to YouTube. But that just to me said a lot about how they value content. And that is, they don't. They think that you should pay them to host your video. Now, Vimeo is used by a lot of filmmakers out there, a lot of photographers who make different types of slideshows and documentaries. But my plea to you is give YouTube a chance. They actually have their stuff together. And it might not look as slick as Vimeo, and Vimeo does do a good job. They have great encoding. It looks awesome. But YouTube has a better business plan, at least in my opinion. So if you're trying to make money from whatever videos you're creating, go with YouTube. This is David A. Cox with PCClassesOnline.com. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Very briefly before we go here, if you happen to have been watching us on YouTube, we do appreciate if you click that little like button. Give us a comment. Let us know how we're doing. Did we do a good job? Is there something we left out? Is there something that we could do better? We want to hear from you. Also, same thing, by the way, goes for if you're watching us on PCClassesOnline.com. We have a little comment section beneath the video where you can give us some feedback. And if you've never checked out our website, please do. PCClassesOnline.com is a free public service. We currently have members in over 170 different countries. We hope that you'll be our next. This is David A. Cox. You all have a wonderful day. Class dismissed.